Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. Quick video here. I think you guys may have heard about some stuff going on with beef. A lot of times we are probably more prone to not think too deeply about this subject, where we don't get too worried about it because beef prices tend to kind of not get too crazy. Well, I've mentioned this subject before in a way in other videos, probably in a little bit different context, but and I mentioned that one type of chicken was unusually high. The prices were at PCC, this is probably a different subject, but this is kind of a big deal. I've looked at now several videos by some Wyoming and Texas cattle ranchers, and also Glenn Beck, to name a few. And there are many others, and there will be many others coming out. Not right now about this stuff. Um, Apparently, what's happening is that there's no shortage of beef cattle, and yeah, it's absolutely the greed of four different companies that are driving this higher than usual price of beef. Some might say, of course, that there's other sources at work in addition to the greed of these four companies. Um, yeah, I think these four companies are. One of them is Tyson. Another one's, oh, I can't remember the other guys. I guess, but you guys probably know which ones I'm talking about. But so um, just some things to ease your concerns here. It may be increasingly a better idea to buy beef at farmers markets when you can find it there, and or Frankie's Frank Tufano. He's based out of New York City. His free range, well, grass fed meats and stuff. That's the second option, in addition to the farmers markets. Another option is um, to eat less beef, or try to find um, good nutritional substitutes for beef. So that might mean, for some, maybe going with dairy. I wouldn't advise that, but it's not the worst thing to do. But some might go more into fish. That's a little bit better option, I think, than dairy. But you know, if you go with chicken and eggs, that's like dairy. That's a pretty cheap route. But definitely eggs are a great idea. I think if you eat more eggs, it's probably one of the best uh, alternatives. Eggs and turkey. Chicken being, nice and cheap like turkey, but uh, anyway. But and then of course with pork, well, it's an option, but it's cheap, but it's, well, for a lot of the world, pork is a pretty big deal. It's true, but pork is not, I think, the greatest option, but it may be a good option also in terms of getting something for not too expensive that actually tastes really good. That's more really filling and satiating. Sorry. Um, and then of course, just buying directly from a butcher, or I mean, buying directly from a rancher, farmer. So that's what I meant. Um, but if we're talking about grocery stores, um, the expensive places that most expensive places I've gone to, fairly certain that those beef prices won't change a whole lot, because they're the beef itself is coming from smaller ranchers that are more that are help that that raise their cattle in more ethical ways. So that expensive end of beef, as far as I know, shouldn't change very much. But if you guys are used to the cheaper beef, there may be an issue there. Um, because, yeah, I think those beef prices have been going up. And I looked at the prices of beef. Um, and in the United States. This is all the United States stuff. And imagine the world to a certain extent as well, but very, very recently, within the last few months, it has gone up a fair bit. And here's the biggest thing about this whole thing. So again, it's the middlemen, the companies, the big, huge companies in the United States that are driving up the prices. So the ranchers, the cattle guys, are getting less of that profit. Yeah, and it's an absolute antitrust kind of thing. Now, of course, there are rumors that are kind of Illuminati-ish, about Bill Gates buying up land, which is just a lot of stuff that Bill Gates has done recently. If everybody's stuff sounds kind of suspicious, it's true. I can't deny it. I have defended Bill Gates, at least on one occasion here on my channel. I might change my mind in the future, depending on how things go, but some of what I was saying, my dad has a lot of faith in Bill Gates, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, it's along the same lines as a lot of this train of thought is along the same lines as the Monsanto kind of thing. But the um, big farms, big business stuff, the, you know, force feeding everybody in the United States GMO foods and hormone filled stuff and factory stuff, and then the wealthy, rich and wealthy get the best stuff. Right? Yeah, I don't know. I just know that I've been pickier with beef. Whenever I've paid for beef for quite some time, it's usually been a fair bit of money to buy it. So I've never really bought a ton of it, but it usually costs a bit. Um, a single steak at Whole Foods, which is not even the top of the line thing anymore, it's just a high animal welfare rating steak, chuck steak. It might go for $5 if I'm lucky. $5 for a steak. Yeah, that's definitely really super cheap, even for a smaller steak, for chuck steak. That's you know when you find cheaper cuts. I mean, when you find cheaper steaks, um, they're probably going to be lower quality and not really worth eating because they'll be not fresh. And I don't know. I'll have to keep you guys posted on the subject because this is a big deal. We all know that beef is not it's not a staple food. It's not like we're going to die. But um, well, I've seen it's like the general trend for a long time, at least for Americans. We Americans have been eating a lot more chicken compared to beef. Uh, Increasingly so. In the past, I think beef consumption peaked in the 70s, I think, or something like that. It was pretty high then. But a lot of it was, uh, just cheaper beef. McDonald's was a big deal in the 70s, a lot of hamburgers and stuff. But yeah, beef consumption has been kind of very slowly been coming down, very, very slowly. And chicken has been going up. Pork, I think, even has been going up a little bit too. Not as heavily. Pork is a bit more. It's still a bit more flat. Um, Fish, same deal. Um, I like to see more turkey raised, but I think it's still doubtful in this day and age. But we could definitely use more turkey. Um, and yeah, people are consuming less dairy. So a little less meat and considerably less dairy overall. A lot of Americans are still having a lot of dairy. It's true, But I think that there are some foods like milk in particular. Milk consumption has been going down, and it'd be interesting to see Wisconsin, for instance, turn into more of a beef cattle and dairy cattle kind of state. You know, be interesting to see that whole thing. More on the subject in a bit. But again, that's my suggestions. Go to a farmer's market, buy from a rancher, um, and look into Frank Tofano's grass-fed meats. All right, talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.